Thing number five to wrap up this week's edition of the Five Things, Gary. Talking dollar now. Is the dollar both losing and gaining share?
Sort of. Yes. No. Are we good? Can we go?
Yeah, right. I had the same question to you prior.
Yeah. Uh, Here's what's happened. Um, Over the last couple of years, I've written a lot about how the dollar is losing share as the world's reserve currency, and that is factually true. And reserve means foreign governments holding the dollar as a store of value, as a way to engage in international trade. A lot of international trade is settled in dollars. If you want to buy oil from Saudi Arabia, with very few exceptions, you have to pay in dollars. So other countries hold dollars. And the holdings of foreign governments of the dollar have been falling for years. China has been responding to a deteriorating relationship with the West by holding fewer dollars. They've been selling treasuries. Japan's been selling treasuries to defend the yen. That hasn't worked. And the other thing is the US has been debasing the dollar with excessive debt. And the government has stolen the dollar reserves of countries engaging in behavior that Washington, D.C. dislikes. And, you could say, hey, we know you're talking about Putin and Russia and they deserve it. Okay, fair enough. That is a totally valid point of view to say the US is doing the right and moral thing, except the problem is it's going to harm Americans. When you use the dollar as a weapon, people view it as an enemy currency. And all of that activity, again, I'm not commenting on the morality of all of this. I'm not supporting Russia in any way. But Washington has been using the dollar as a hammer against other countries, and that makes other countries fearful of holding dollars. And so what's happened is other countries have been reducing their government holdings of dollars, and yet foreign holdings of US debt have not decreased.
And Gary, previously you said that the dollar is losing share as the world's reserve currency. Is that still your opinion? Are you sure about that? How can you be sure about that in terms of where the dollar currently stands?
Well, so there has to be something making up the difference. Basically, um, the dollar has been losing share as the world's reserve currency. Foreign government holdings of dollars are decreasing. But for federal debt held by foreign and international investors has gone up. So how does that make sense? The only way it makes sense is there are treasury securities held by private foreign investors that have gone through the roof. And that's what's happening. So while the Chinese government and the Japanese government may be selling US treasuries and other governments are selling US treasuries, the citizens of countries all over the world have been buying US treasuries because they'd rather hold the dollar than their own currencies. That's part of it. The other thing that's happened is Powell and the Fed have been more hawkish. That means favoring higher rates than other central banks. And so the rate on US treasuries, the interest rate on the US 10-year bond is above what it is in the UK, in the EU. It's far above what you get in Japan. The US 10-year has been around 4.5% or so, a little higher, a little lower at times. In Japan, it's less than 1%. And so, because the Federal Reserve has been more aggressive in raising rates than other central banks, the citizens of those other countries have said, wait a minute, if I hold dollars, I can get a higher interest rate. And so, the conclusion here is that the US can create demand for Treasury securities as long as we're willing to pay for that demand. And so, this activity is keeping our government solvent. But, as Lynn Alden noted in her post on fiscal dominance, it's also going to create more inflation.
That's a wrap, everyone, for this week's Five Things. Gary, anything else to add on any of the points that we may have covered over the course of the show?
No, I think we're good on this. For everyone watching, thanks so much. We appreciate your time. The channel's grown a bit. Thanks and welcome to the new subscribers. We really appreciate you clicking that subscribe button. And it's nice that you guys wanted to spend this time with us. We know your time is valuable, and we appreciate you watching. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, everyone.